Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in the previous video we saw how do the graphology pictograph works and how does the baseline tells about the mental energy you are giving out to your goals and how much mental energy you are giving to reach towards your goals. So in today's lecture we are going to look at the second graphology pictograph on that same sheet of paper on which you wrote that. But don't worry if you don't have that sheet, just write another paragraph for a few seconds, whatever comes to your mind on a plain unruled sheet. And then today we'll move further. So, looking at the margins first. The spacing will come later, but we'll be looking at the margins today. There are different kinds of margins that we can have on a plain sheet of paper. Now on a plain sheet where there is no specified margin that is given to you, whatever space you are leaving on the upper end, on the lower end of the sheet, on the left side of the sheet and on the right side of the sheet, that forms your margin. So there are different kinds of margin that a person can have on the sheet of paper. For example, that could range from a variety of having wide margins all over to having narrow margin on the left, narrow margin on the right, having a wide margin on the left, wide margin on the right, wide margin on the top, wide margin on the bottom. Not just that, a simpler one, the difficult or the complex one can be when your margin starts to narrow down when you're coming in the left side, or there is a narrowing right margin when you're writing. At the same time, it could vary depending upon, for example, your margin is widening when you are going down on the left hand side, and similarly your margin is widening when you are going on the right hand side. Not just that, there could be complete absence of margin as well, or there could be wide margins all over as well. There could be uneven left margins, uneven right margins. So you see how much variety of margins are there, and each individual will have any one of these. But in today's video, we are going to talk about three different kinds of such margins, and we are going to look at through the graphology pictograph. If you want to know more about all these margin kinds, then of course, as you know, you can join our classes and enroll on our website. So in today's video, let's come back to the topic. The sheet that you have, that is, yes, this is the sheet that you have with you. Now we are going to look at the three different kinds of margins. So for example, I'm assuming I'm writing a paragraph which is like, which started off like this, and then as and when I go down, my margin on the right is almost remaining the same. However, the margin on the left is widening. You see, the margin on the left is widening. So when this kind of a margin happens on a sheet of paper, or you have this kind of a margin, always remember that the margins represent how you are approaching towards the world. I repeat, the margins that you're putting on the sheet of paper actually tell how you are approaching the world. Because as I told in my last video, the complete sheet of paper actually represents your surroundings. So the margin you are leaving tells about your approach towards the world. So the left side of the sheet, that is, the left side margin tells about a person's past or how they are approaching their past. Similarly, the right margin tells about a person's future or how they are approaching their future. Alright, so whatever types of margins we are going to study, the main element of all of these will be left is the past and right is the future. So since the left margin is widening, it actually shows the person's avoidance of the past. That is, something has happened in the past which is letting them go out of it. They actually want to move away from that past. And that is why they are showing a lot of courage in facing the problems. So this is how the left margin occurs. Again, the second. So first we studied the widening left margin. Alright, so whenever in a person's handwriting on your sheet of paper or on somebody else's sheet of paper, you see that the left margin is widening as they go towards the bottom of the sheet. That actually shows that they are doing something to avoid the past and they are putting in a lot of energy to move towards optimism. These people at times can be impatient as well because they are trying hard to move away from the past. Alright, the second kind of the margin can be, okay. The second kind is when a person writes exactly in the middle of the sheet in such a way that they are leaving the same amount of space on all the four sides. Now, when on all the four sides, they have wide margins and they have placed their paragraph just in the middle. Now you see these people, they had a lot of space, they had this entire environment to interact with, but they chose not to do so. And what did they do? They directed their entire energy on themselves. So when a person writes in such a way that exactly the same amount of wide margin is there on all the four sides, these people are very artistic. The reason being that they try to be withdrawn, they try to be aloof from others, and they try to direct all their creativity on their own selves. They're also very sensitive about the colors around them and the surroundings. So if they have to enter into a room where, for example, a person does not like the color yellow, and he or she is made to enter into a room which is completely yellow in color, they won't stay there even for a minute. That is how sensitive they are to the colors and to the environment. But at the same time, they're really very artistic as well. But you'll find these people little withdrawn. They do not mingle up socially very easily. So this is the second kind of margin that you can easily see in your handwritings and of those around you. The second, we studied about the wide margins all over. Alright, the third kind of margin that we are going to look at is the widening right margin. How does that happen? Now, I started writing a sentence. I'm starting it from the same point on the left. However, I'm completing it before. That is, I am leaving a line somewhere and the distance from the top till the bottom increases on the right side. Okay, so when this happens, that the distance is increasing on the right side, in this case, the person is really afraid of moving into their future. So these people try moving ahead or going further in their life because somewhere or the other, they are very fearful of what the future will be, what the future will be like, what will happen in the future. And at the same time, they're a little apprehensive about their future. What is coming might not be good for them. And that's why they try to avoid thinking about the future and they try to live in the present or in their past and not think much about the future. So these are the three different kinds of margin. Apart from that, as I told you, there are a number of others as well. So if you want to know more about it, then stay tuned for the further videos or enroll in our classes. In the subsequent videos, I'm going to talk about the spacing, the size, and the pressure as well. Till then, keep on watching the videos and start practicing about whatever is being taught. Try applying it, and if you have any doubts, you can anytime ask in the comment box as well. Do not forget to subscribe the channel. Bye bye. Take care.